It's 10:30 and we're reconvening our open meeting. Commissioner Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Chairman Brinkman.
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
Commissioner Ecker.
Present.
Commissioner Boatright.
Present.
Commissioner Treese.
Present.
Commissioner Erdman.
Present.
I know he's present. It lit up, but I don't know that we heard him. Can we try that again?
Present.
Commissioner Erdman.
Present.
Did you hear him?
Yes. But I can't hear you now.
Will County present.
I just want to make sure he can speak when he.
Yeah. We have a quorum. Welcome, everyone. I have a friendly reminder for all of us present today that we're continuing to provide live stream of our open meetings for the public to view from their home and office. If you're speaking, please make sure you speak into the microphone. The microphone's on so the viewers may hear what is being said. We're going to start our meeting this morning with a brief safety emphasis. Joe Moore, our district safety and health manager, is going to share with us what to do in case of an emergency. Joe?
Good morning and welcome to St. Louis. Safety minutes for today. In the event of fire, I have provided you all with maps for the evacuation plan. We'll have our district engineer, Tom Blair, lead the way. I will follow up in the rear to ensure everyone makes it out safely. Our friends from the Highway Patrol also have a copy of this map. With the beautiful weather we're experiencing today, we're not expecting severe weather, but in the case that we do have severe weather, Tom Blair, our district engineer, will lead us to the basement by the hotel staff. So we'll all meet up down there, and I, again, will take up the rear, make sure everyone makes it. If we must evacuate, please take note of someone that's sitting next to you so we ensure everyone makes it to the safe place. If there's a medical emergency and CPR is needed in this room, Jeannie Wilson will call 911. Michelle Fernaris will report to the main lobby to meet the EMS. Bob Becker has volunteered to do CPR. I will assist when needed, and I will also be administering the AED today. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Joe. Next, I want to review a few procedural items. We have a public comment period. I want to remind everyone that we have this period, and we're pleased to offer this for every Missourian who wants to come before the commission to address an issue of concern. Any of you that would like to address the commission, please sign up before 11 o'clock. A reminder is that you'll have 5 minutes for public comment or 10 minutes per subject. The next item is to discuss our abstention process. There are commissioners that, because of land ownership or business interest, or lawyers may represent clients that may either have some relationship to a matter coming before the commission and may have a potential or actual conflict of interest to be considered or voted upon. The commission member will indicate if he or she chooses to abstain from voting or recuse themselves from participating in discussion. If an agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or the like, a commissioner may specify that particular matter and still vote on the remaining items. This information is provided to the commission secretary by letter. Commission secretary will duly indicate any abstentions accordingly in the meetings. Madam Secretary, have the letters been prepared? Thank you. The first item on our agenda this morning is consideration of minutes of the regular meeting of July 6th, 2022 and August 3rd, 2022, and a special meeting August 2nd, 2022. Are there any corrections to the meeting minutes? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. The next business item is considerations of items on the consent agenda. Does anyone need to remove any item for discussion later or abstain? Hearing none, do I hear a motion for approval?
I move for approval. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Before we go to the next agenda, I'd like to call on Ed Hessinger, Deputy Director, to share a little more information about one of the items on the consent agenda.
I'm sorry. Can you skip one?
See, I'm already good here. So we wanted to highlight that our construction and materials engineer, Dave Albers, has retired after 37 years of service to Modot, and is seen really nationally and across the state as one of the preeminent folks in the construction industry, and has led Modot's effort in a way that I think bar none, you know, across the country. And just look at our performance on how we always bring projects in on time and with very few change orders. And that's a testament to Dave and his leadership. So we're going to miss Dave, and we'll be working diligently to find Dave's replacement in the coming months.
Is he here or did he split?
He split. His last day was last week. So he's enjoying his well-deserved retirement.
No, good for him. He was a great guy. Our next order of business is to receive committee and board reports. Commissioner Eckert and I serve on the audit committee. I'll give today's report. The next audit committee will be scheduled for November of 2022. As co-chair of the legislative committee, I'll give today's report fresh off the presses. The annual veto session, as outlined in Missouri's Constitution, was recently completed by the Missouri legislation without any attempts to override any vetoed bills from the 2022 session. The legislation also completed debate on a handful of different tax-related measures just yesterday, thus ending Governor Parsons' special session call. The governor is planning to sign an agricultural tax credit and income tax cut measure into law this morning as a result of the special section, and that concludes that legislative report. Commissioner Smith serves as president of the MTFC, and Commissioner Eckert is a board member. Commissioner Smith will provide the report today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The MTFC met on October 4th and accepted the fiscal year 2022 financial statement audit presented by Williams Keepers LLC. The board received its 14th certificate of achievement from the Government Finance Officers Association for excellence in financial reporting. So, Brenda, Todd, your team, great job. Appreciate that. The next meeting will be in February. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Smith, Boatwright, and Eckert serve on the Emperor's Board. Today, Commissioner Eckert will provide the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On September 22nd, the board met and reviewed the annual actuary evaluation.
Turn your mic off.
You can't hear you.
It is on.
Okay.
Yeah. Reviewed the annual actuary evaluation. Modot's contribution rate was set at 58% of payroll. The next regular board meeting will be November 17th. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. As chairman, I serve on the Missouri Coalition and Roadway Safety Executive Committee and will provide a report today. Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee met September 27 in advance of the 2022 Missouri Highway Safety and Traffic Conference. The meeting was well attended with a number of items being discussed, including the results of Missouri's revamped paid media strategy, legislative priorities for 2023, and plans for expanding the Buckle Up, Phone Down program. Buckle Up, Phone Down Day will be October 21st. The day will be a kickoff for the second annual Buckle Up, Phone Down High School Showdown, a friendly competition hosted by Modot and AAA to see which schools can secure the most Buckle Up, Phone Down pledges from students. Let's all practice. Let's go like this. Let's buckle up, phone down. We're going to do it again before the meeting's over, so you might want to remember that. Following the executive committee meeting, the coalition held its annual Highway Safety and Traffic Conference. Conference was well attended by 500 people and featured presentations from both national, state, and local experts. The opportunity to network with other safety advocates throughout the Missouri is essential in implementing the state's strategic plan, Show Me Zero. Attendees left the conference energized for the work ahead and the committee is tentatively planning to re-meet in January. So I was there most of the day. I will tell you, it's just wonderful what we accomplished, and we've only been at it really about 4 or 5 months. So we increased our media output. We had 63 million touches, whatever they call them. But 63 million messages got out through all sorts of different social media, and including billboards and that. And so we're off to a good start. So we're going to, normally we'd go 6 months, and I've asked that we, executive committee meet in January. We'll do a 3-month meeting in there. The next item on the agenda is Modot Director's report. Ed Hassinger, Deputy Director, will be giving the report today. Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as the chairman mentioned, last week we had the Highway Safety and Traffic Conference in Columbia. And, you know, during the pandemic, we had been doing that virtually and then hybrid. And this is the first time we've been back at full strength in person. And I want to say that Becky Almaroth and Nicole Hood and John Nelson did a fabulous job of organizing a really exciting conference. And as you said, it's the opportunity for us to get together with law enforcement, safety advocates, and the engineering and emergency services folks to collaborate on how do we bring down fatalities and serious injuries on our roadway. And I like you, I could see the excitement in the room, and people were really maybe getting re-energized because, quite frankly, for the last couple of years, we've had some really disturbing results on the number of fatalities on our roadways, not only in Missouri, but nationwide. So we have a video that highlights some of the things that happened here. So if we could play that.
I've been a part of many conversations and initiatives throughout legislations we've passed the last several years about protection of highway workers in construction zones, public safety measures for our friends in the public safety business. Thank you for what you do across the state as they address not only an accident, but construction zones as well. And so working together as a group to find ways that we can increase public safety and get that number 20, I think is imperative right now.
I wanted to start here, and this is kind of that alarming thing that we all know is true. How many of you, after you got over the shock of what we had to do to get through the pandemic, said, well, and I remember doing this myself, I think I turned to Nicole or Becky and I said, well, at least with no people on the road, our fatalities are going to go down. Did anybody say that 2 years ago? Yeah, I think we all did. We all thought, well, at least there's some good news here. And then bizarre things started happening. You know, the best of our abilities, the things that we were trying to do, and we just saw things go kind of off the rails in places that didn't make sense. And I'm not sure that we totally really still understand why occurrence happened, and we're trying to deal with that. But one of the things when I was talking to some of my colleagues around the country, there was kind of a sense in their organizations and in the interactions that they had that people were really frustrated. So people in our business, people in this room kind of started to get frustrated about, God, we're doing everything we think we can do. We're really working hard. We've got some more money to do projects and we're not making a difference.
Basically, we want to use on Missouri roadways to develop a new habit or habits. For patrol, this entails both enforcement and education. Over the past 6 months, Patrol has partnered with Modot and several local agencies on some of the busiest interstates in St. Louis and Kansas City to address excessive speeds on those roadways. The Show Me Zero Fatality effort is where troopers and local officers are not only taking enforcement, but they're also speaking with drivers about the importance of obeying all traffic laws and how their decisions impact those who are sharing the road. Show Me Zero Traffic Fatalities is a strong statement. It's a commitment that all of us made.
So we ended 2021 with a 3% increase. So we had 1,016 fatalities. We have not seen this high a number of fatalities since 2006. so over 15 years. And interestingly, the VMT over the last 5 years has grown 4%, but our fatalities have grown almost double 9%. Serious injuries, so 10% in 2021. The speed, we keep seeing the high rates of speed. Speed was involved in 37% of the fatal crashes in 2021. And just last week, we had several reports of people driving over 100 miles per hour in the St. Louis district on 270. Speeds are certainly the drug impaired fatalities up 100% in the last 10 years. Some of the results we see from saturation Saturday, once again, just in August, is real. The number of folks that are still out there driving impaired. We have more distractions than ever. Unfortunately, more times than not, the other person is killed and it's not the distracted driver. In 2020, 65% of the fatalities were folks that were unbuckled. As Chairman Brinkman would say, we lose about 3 people a day, and 2 out of those 3 people are unbuckled.
So those are some of the highlights of the opening session, and then they had a lot of great breakouts for people to really strategize on how we can get better in this area. During the month of September, there was a lot of activity. The governor continued his infrastructure visits around the state, as well as the lieutenant governor. There's some pictures up here on the screen that show some of those. And our commission was very active in being all over the state. So I know everybody appreciated seeing the commission out at these events. Commissioner Smith joined the governor at I-44 for the Mulroney Interchange project in Springfield. Commissioner Boatwright was down in the Boot Heel on Route 162 in Portageville to focus on one of the governor's focus on bridge projects. And then Chairman Brinkman was out on 270 here in St. Louis to take a look at the North 270 project with the governor, and it was a great success. And then Commissioner Smith joined the governor at Route 50 and Chipman Road in Kansas City for a ribbon cutting. That was another focus on bridge project that was a very complicated project where we had a lot of traffic in the district, and Chris Redline and his folks did a fabulous job of managing traffic and getting that done. And now we have a brand new bridge there as part of the governor's focus on bridge program. Also, Commissioner Boatwright joined the lieutenant governor at a groundbreaking in Poplar Bluff for the US 67 South project, which is a combination of a Modot cost share, a governor's cost share, and Poplar Bluff putting their money where their mouth is and putting their own money to make that project happen. So that was a great event also. Also in September, we do something every September that remembers our fallen workers. So we had our Day of Remembrance. That starts with ceremonies all over the state in every one of our district offices. And then for the last 10 years running, we've done the statewide event at the headquarters in Jefferson City to honor the 138 Modot workers that have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to Missourians. And so a lot of our employees and family members of the fallen gathered to honor those 138 employees. A very solemn day that we do as a yearly tradition here at the department. The other thing that I really wanted to highlight is we've had some conversations about the local program. So the new federal bill is moving a lot more money into not only state programs, but also into local programs. And there's 2 that I just really want to highlight. The BRO Local Bridge Program and the Bridge Formula Program added more money to replace local bridges across the state. And MoDOT kind of changed the process to be more efficient and put more money on the ground quicker to get these bridges replaced. Because just like MoDOT, our local governments across the state have the same problem. They have a lot of bridges and they have a lot of poor bridges that need to be replaced. So as a result of that process, we kind of did a statewide effort engaged our planning partners and county commissioners and local elected officials to come up with a 3-year priority list of the bridges that we would do. And that list was published this week. And we're going to do 145 bridges in 82 counties with the first 3 years of funding in those 2 bridge programs combined. And in the past, we've done somewhere between 20 and 30 a year. So if you do the math, we're doing about 48 a year with our new process and the new money. Now, that still means cities and counties have to deliver the projects. We don't deliver them, but we help administer them and make sure that the money flows. And I think that's a great success. So, and then there'll be 2 more years to follow in the federal bill to continue with those programs. And then in that number, in this region of the state, the St. Louis region has not allocated their money for local bridges. So there will be more to that number once East-West Gateway allocates the money for those bridge programs. So that's good news. Also, there's a program we call it the TAP program. It's Transportation Alternatives Program. And that's basically money that funds things like sidewalks, connections for multimodal, things that are really not road and bridge. Very popular program in the past. The level of funding has increased for that program pretty dramatically over the next 5 years. And so we put out the call for projects. And in the first 2 years of funding, we have a list of 84 projects with an estimated cost of about $38 million. And that's just the rural parts of the state. The 3 metropolitan planning organizations, St. Louis, Kansas City, and Springfield, still have to select their projects for that program. But that's going to make a big impact on those kind of projects in local communities that are really important to a lot of our local communities. So good news on that front. And then I just wanted to end with, also this week, we had a meeting of our maintenance team in Columbia to talk about the things that we do in operations. But the big issue that's on the front burner for everybody right now is snow. Even though it's 80 degrees outside, we're thinking about how are we going to tackle snow removal this winter. We have significantly less people than we did last year due to turnover. And we're strategizing on how we're going to deal with that issue coming up. And so Commissioner Eckert joined us at that meeting and gave the team some encouragement and support. And then later this month, on October 20th, we're going to do our statewide snow drill. So if you see yellow trucks with plows on them on October 20th, it doesn't mean it's going to snow. We're just out getting our game on and being ready for what does come later this winter. And we do that statewide across all of our districts. So we'll be looking forward to that. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the report.
Thank you, Ed. Any discussion regarding Ed's report?
No discussion, Mr. Chairman, just a comment that I want to publicly thank you and the director for all you do to continue to promote roadway safety. We have far too many crashes in this state, and you can see as you look at the numbers with your all's leadership and working on it, we're headed in the right direction. But everyone, please buckle up, tone down.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Did a little housekeeping here. We talked about the consent agenda. We forgot to vote on it. So I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All, we'll call, no, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And one other item, I would remiss, I wanted to recognize one of our guests, St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones, for being here this morning. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Tom Blair, St. Louis District Engineer, will introduce our presenters today.
All right, Chairman and Commission, it's a great honor that I have with us some of our regional transportation partners and leaders here with us speaking to you. We're Jim Rod, Executive Director of our MPO, East-West Gateway Council of Governments. We have, as you said, Chairman, Mayor Tashara Jones from the city of St. Louis, and we have Toby Roach. He's a leader of our bi-state development One of the things they focus on is public transit. So I'll turn it over to Jim Wild to lead the panel.
Welcome, Jim. Good to see you again.
Good morning, Chairman. Good to see you. Commissioners, good to see you. Tom, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you all for the great partnership that we had with the district and with Modot and headquarters. So it's really encouraging to see that we can work together and work to try to solve the problems of transportation in the region. So I want to give you a little background. Many of you have probably heard this a few times from me. Got a new commissioner, so he hasn't heard me drone on about this, but I just want to give you a little background about the St. Louis region and East-West Gateway and how kind of varied and diverse the region is. Wide range of transportation needs, not unlike what you all have to deal with every day with the state of Missouri. Urban, rural. We've got the urban, the rural, the suburban. We've got a little bit of everything. But the St. Louis region, 8-county region, 203 municipalities in that area. About 7,900 square miles is what we encompass. The metropolitan planning area, about 2.5 million people. And the economy for the region is $141 billion a year. It's a pretty substantial economy, 150,000 businesses, 10,600 miles of roads, and 766 of those miles are interstate. So it's a pretty large and significant area, and that's partially why we really enjoy the relationship with Modot, because they are a major partner in the decision-making process here. My board, the East-West Gateway Council of Governments Board of Directors, 24 board members. Mayor Tashara Jones is one of those members. It's made up of the chief elected officials from the 8 counties in the region, 3 in Illinois, 5 in Missouri. We have 20 other elected officials and 4 regional citizens. And the board is split, 12 members Illinois, 12 members in Missouri. So it's truly a regional type of board. The staff and the mission of the agency is to work on transportation planning. That's our MPO hat. But we're also a regional council of governments, and so we do a lot of other things like community planning, research, and we also are the clearinghouse for regional security funds. So urban area security money that comes to the St. Louis region from the federal government. This is where I don't want you all to shut down, but more money is always good for the region. 33% of the state's population is in the St. Louis area. 43% of the state's GDP is developed here in St. Louis. 38% of the state's employment is in the St. Louis, Missouri portion of the region. 45.6% of the state's wages and salaries are generated here. And 41.3% of the state's personal income is here in St. Louis. All that said, we receive less than 30% of the funding that the state receives. I understand you're trying to balance out the whole state, but we do have a significant contribution to the state of Missouri, economically and otherwise. So that said, we have just approved a transportation improvement program that includes 258 projects that are Modot projects, $1.9 billion. Our whole transportation improvement program, which is the equivalent of your STIP, it's just for our area, however, $2.25 billion in federal funds alone, $3.7 billion in total costs. So we have a lot of work going on in the St. Louis region. A lot of big projects on I-70, on I-270, obviously, you've all seen that, and some recently completed or nearing completed projects on I-64 in Jefferson and other projects like of that nature. That said, since we are a really diverse region and all of our counties have different needs, Not all of our projects and efforts that we put into the transportation system in the St. Louis region are adding capacity to roads or building roads. Some of them are actually trying to address congestion on roads. Some of them are, transit related items. As you know, every county in the state of Missouri has some form of transit, whether it's paratransit, the OATS and those types of organizations, or it's a metro and a bi-state here in the St. Louis region. So one more plug on additional funds. It'd be great if we could, I know this year there was a significant increase in transit funding for transit. It would be nice if it was a little more. Just by comparison, I think we're at 15 million in Missouri this year or so. St. Clair County alone on the Illinois side of the river receives about $48 million a year from the state for transit. So that's one county alone, not 15 million for the whole state to divvy up between transit. So I'm just trying to give you kind of the high level points about St. Louis and the transportation system. I'm going to pass it off to the mayor, and she's going to talk about some of their needs in the city and some of the things they're working on to help the system. And then Talby Roach will talk more specific about one of those projects that I believe the mayor will address. So it's my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Mayor Tashara O. Jones.
Thank you, Jim, and good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to St. Louis on Albert Pujols Day in the city of St. Louis, and I am in my cardinal red. Again, I am Tashara Jones, and I have the honor of being the 47th mayor of one of Missouri's great cities, and I'm a recovering legislator. Last week, my son turned 15, just a few days after his very first high school homecoming. And now we're having a conversation about another important milestone. When will he get his driver's permit? And yes, I'm scared. The biggest question on my mind is similar to other parents across St. Louis and across this state, but more specifically in St. Louis. How do I teach my son how to drive in St. Louis? Keeping Aiden safe on the road has been on my mind since he started riding his bike to see his friends outside our neighborhood. The first few times he did it, I drove beside him the entire way to make sure he got there okay. The second or third time, I made him get some earbuds and stay on the phone with me the entire time. But it's not just my family that feels this way. St. Louisans haven't felt safe on our streets for years, a point tragically underscored in recent months by traffic violence on South Grand and in Kingsway West. So far this year, 11 people walking and 2 people biking have lost their lives to traffic violence, and our city feels an urgency to act to keep our streets safe. Everyone should feel safe on our streets, no matter how they choose to get around, walking, biking, driving, or public transportation. For years now, the St. Louis region has been considering a new Metrolink line for the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. Metrolink expansion has been a priority in the region's long-term planning efforts, thanks to St. Louis residents repeatedly voting for propositions to fund transit investments, including approving a half-cent sales tax directly in support of North-South Metrolink. Our residents clearly see the transformational opportunity for our city, and Metrolink expansion will connect St. Louisans to good jobs, better healthcare opportunities, and new experiences across our city. While the commitment to expand light rail service through the North Side, South Side corridor has been unwavering, there hasn't been consensus until now on the exact route. Light rail transit has a strong track record of catalyzing economic development in the communities it serves. Permanent transit infrastructure can attract new investment near Metrolink stations and be an opportunity to improve or repair existing infrastructure. We've already seen more than $9 billion in transit-oriented development across the existing Metrolink system. With the future NGA West campus as an anchor, Metrolink expansion will further help our city reverse decades of disinvestment in long neglected communities. This investment, alongside physical station improvements, lighting, and increased foot traffic, can also help improve public safety. That's why my administration recommends that St. Louis develop we are recommending that we are developing a mobility and transportation master plan that takes our entire city into account to coordinate broader work while helping us access state and federal grants that we currently cannot. The master plan must include a significant investment in infrastructure, including transit and traffic safety, so that our families and our next generation, like my son, can feel safe no matter how they choose to get around. Now is the time for MoDOT to consider including transit as an annual appropriation for transportation infrastructure. It connects people, businesses, and communities to better opportunities. It strengthens our neighborhoods and makes our city a safer place to live, work, and play. And now I'd like to turn it over to Talby Roach, or by state, to give you more details.
Your Honor, thank you. And good morning, Jim. Thank you very much. What a fabulous fall day. I will tell you, I just came from DC doing what we all do, competing and trying to get more funding for the St. Louis region specifically. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. We're talking about expanding that competitiveness of not only our state, but of our region. And I have about a 9-slide deck, but I'm going to cut it down to 6 to be cognizant of your time this morning. So I really appreciate you bearing with me. But let's talk about, well, if we can, project description, very good. One more. Whoop. I'm going to go too fast. Okay, so let's talk about how we are building those partnerships. What you see before you in this slide is the 2018 locally preferred alternative. Now, of course, what we have to respond to in that competitive environment is the same thing that MoDOT has to compete for. We are competing for federal funds. And what, of course, has happened since 2018, although this study was actually an excellent one, has a lot of fundamentals that we will be building off of. We'll be using a lot of the information from it. But what has happened since 2018? Obviously, the pandemic. The pandemic has fundamentally changed how we are moving around in this region. And my job, of course, is to change those alignments and look at these in a new light so that they're as competitive as possible and that we're developing our city, not for the city of the greater St. Louis area of today, but of the greater St. Louis area of 2045 and beyond. So let's look at the new alternative alignment based out of, there we go. So we are talking about maybe moving to a new locally preferred alternative. I would call this the 2022-2023 based on Jefferson Avenue. So you can see this is a much more concise alignment, moving from all the way from the north, based off of moving from NGA, as the mayor mentioned, all the way down to Chippewa to the south, with several very key connections. You see there's 2 highway crossings represented in 64 and 44, and I want to thank you in advance. One of the things about working together is we have already started to work with MoDOT engineering staff to talk about the engineering details with those critical connections. But indeed, all the way down to the south to Chippewa, we would be contemplating even potentially park ride there as we get all the way down to the 55 corridor. Another really key aspect as we're looking at these fundamental moving in a competitive environment as far as a 2022 LPA. Of course, I can't go without saying that if we move to Jefferson, as you guys have seen with the state stadium right next to us, what that does for generating transit rides. Of course, being closer to the new soccer stadium right there at Market and Jefferson indeed we are contemplating having a stop within blocks of that station. And of course, that's one of the ways that we build the icing on the cake. So let's think of this even a little bit more ambitiously. Well, we probably need some new batteries. So, but one of the things that we're talking about as we move forward in this alignment is what are the differences in the 2020 version of St. Louis associated with, so I want to move, maybe somebody can help me move. Yes. Can we go, very good, all the way to the big, but there's a lot of pink in it. Next one, thank you. Thank you, sir, I'm sorry. There we go, that's it, thank you. So one of the things that we really want to be sure is there's different momentum. There is political momentum, and of course, there's financial momentum. One of the reasons why we feel this new alignment can really serve the citizens of St. Louis is you notice in this picture, there's a lot of pink in that alignment. So what does that pink represent? These are areas of persistent poverty. So what we're showing with this alignment in conjunction with the mayor's policy initiatives are to be sure that we are being responsive to the very folks that need transit, the kind of connections that we should see in the version of St. Louis that we want to see in the future. Additionally, this makes this kind of a project more competitive as we move to DC and within the confines of a New Starts program. So let's look at some really compelling information. You see there's a map of St. Louis to the left and a map of St. Louis to the right. This is a statistical comparison of the 2020 employment density against the 2045 employment density. Let me point out the deep shades of blue and where we will be accessing the jobs of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how we build our cities for the new future that we hope to realize. And with accessing those folks for new opportunities for jobs, we see the job growth up there to the north at NGA, a transformative project for the city of St. Louis. But you also see the significant job growth within the central corridor of the city. I have to point out one of the changes that we've seen in the city. Originally, we specified the downtown station, 8th and Pine, to be the #1 station as far as transit ridership. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not. It is actually the Central West End station associated with the burgeoning BJC healthcare initiative, along with things that you're seeing like the Cortex Innovative District. We hope to see the same kind of growth now in the underserved communities of North City. So let's also talk about those folks of need. Mayor Tashara Jones has made it very clear that what we are going to do is make investments in the areas of traditional divestment. So let's look at a statistical chart that's very interesting that points to us serving that community. These areas of very dark, essentially maroon or red, are those folks of need, households that may not even have a car or only have one car. So for instance, transit and the ability to get to jobs is absolutely critical for the needs of those communities. This is how we rebuild areas of the city within these investments and figuring out how we are following the initiatives of both the mayor and, of course, hopefully, of this commission. So I want to move very quickly, very cognizant of time. So what are the next steps in a very ambitious project like this? Now, of course, what my job is to do is to compile information, get information from the engineering staff, and then make a competitive submission to the federal government for funding. In a project like this, let's say one, and these are Talby Roach's numbers, let's say one that was around $800 million, we would be submitting to the federal government under a New Starts criteria for between $420 and $500 million. And then we would be able to fund that through a combination of local funds that the mayor mentioned that our taxpayers have been committing to since 2017. So what we want to do is move the project forward on that basis. And we are doing that right now. We're talking with, of course, East-West Gateway Coordinating Council with changing that LPA and moving ahead on those bases. So I very much appreciate all of this, you listening to me. And what we would hope to do is potentially in Q2 or Q3 of 2023, enter into a phase called project development with the federal government, with FTA, in which we would be entering into a competitive grant basis with FTA for 60% funding. Of course, we could use more funding, and I'd be happy to accept that from this commission today. But the real point here are those partnerships. What we want to talk about is a transportation network. A transportation network, whether it be bus, trains, sidewalks, highways, all of those aspects. The mayor mentioned and Jim, I think, mentioned it as well, the success that we've recently been able to have by partnering with our rural partners like O's. As a matter of fact, I was just in Springfield last night. We got our keynote speaker was Lincoln Huff, as a matter of fact, talking about funding within the MoDOT budget for transit. Why? Because this is a unified transportation system. Whether it means buses, trains, local buses, even in a Springfield, Missouri, local buses, whether it be in a Cape Girardeau or in downtown St. Louis. Please consider that whenever you're thinking of your funding dynamic. We will be partners with you, and I hope to move forward on an ambitious project like that. I will pause right now and see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Toby. Any comments?
Chairman, excuse me, I just want to thank him for coming today and sharing the information on what's happening in transit in St. Louis. And also, as the mayor said, we share your concerns about these pedestrian and bicycle fatalities. It's horrible. Someone's son, someone's daughter. We really share your concern. We know St. Louis and Modot Team here is working with the city to try to find a solution for this, but we hope that we come up with something. We appreciate it. I was just like you when my kids were little too, Mayor.
Ed, do you have something?
Yeah, thank you for that presentation. I think it's probably right on time, together with the city and a lot of partners, we've made a lot of improvements to the central corridor as it relates to NGA and the project that's about to be complete. But also our district here is also engaged in a planning study for that corridor as we speak. So the timing is good, and I think the coordination is right on time. So as you develop your new plans and we can do that together, that would be a great collaboration that'll make a difference. So look forward to that.
No, I agree. And we're working with you on that hand in hand. So that's wonderful. Just to kind of contextualize this a little bit, I'm sure some of the commissioners, like, we typically only deal with roads. Why are we talking about light rail? Why are we talking about trains? That sort of thing. Transit supplements roads, roads supplement transit, right? I mean, at some level, Talby alluded to this a little bit. This is a system, right? It's a network of transportation options. Sometimes you need to beef up the transit side of things, and it takes some of the pressure off of the road side of things. And sometimes you just don't have the access to transit, and that's where you have the roads. So, our view is this is very, it meshes well with your mission. And like I said earlier, we've got a very diverse region. Some of the collar counties, they're just not going to have the needs that the city has as it relates to transit, but they do have the roadway needs. So we're trying to balance all of those things, and I know you do too. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. And thank you for your presentation. Thanks. I'd like to recognize, we have another guest, St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman just joined us. Steve, it's always happy to have you with us. Thanks. Next item on the agenda is an action item. Travis Kestner, State Design Engineer, will present the bids for our consideration. Travis?
Chairman Brinkman, Commissioners. Director, I want to present to you the bids from the September 16th, 2022 bid opening. MoDOT received 84 bids on 26 calls. Our recommendation to you today is to award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder except for call A06 located in the Northwest District, B01 in the Northeast District, D02 in the Central District, and F04 in the St. Louis District. We recommend the rejections of calls A06, B01, D02, and F04 due to excessive bids per Section 102 of Missouri Standard Specifications. In addition, we're going to recommend that call G07 and the Southwest District be contingent upon receiving a few more additional funds from the city of Springfield. So with that, those are our recommendations to you today.
Any discussion regarding that presentation?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Travis's recommendation on the bids.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Does anybody have a comment?
Looking over the bids this month, it's really exciting to see the competitions enter back into the arena. So hopefully that continues and we see some of these inflationary pressures start coming back down.
Yeah, we saw a few. Thank you. We saw a few more bidders this month on several jobs, which is good. That helps a lot. So, yeah.
Ed, do you have anything? Okay.
Would you like
Travis,
the
do you have a budget update?
Yeah, sure. There was again, we're still working on those last few focus on bridges. There were no focus on bridges this month. We still have a few more left that we're going to go ahead and get out there. The 8 bridges will still be presented to you prior to March of next year. We're working on getting those last few let. For the fiscal year, we are still over budget. You know, we are seeing that inflation. We actually are about 38.7% over budget, which is around 141 million on the $370 million worth of work we've done so far. So, you know, we're still seeing that pressure, but hopefully as the year goes on, we'll kind of level out here some. So,
thank you.
all right, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Eric Kapinski, Project Director, and Tom Thune, Millstone Weber President, will be presenting. I believe Eric is starting, or, yep. I didn't recognize you without that green vest on. You dress up really nice.
Made me clean up for this. So Chairman Brinkman, Commissioners, Deputy Director Hassinger, good morning. My name is Eric Kapinski. I'm the Project Director for Modot on the I-270 North Design Build Project. And I'm joined today by Tom Kuhn and Vivian Martain from Millstone Weber. So it was important for us to acknowledge our industry partners that have helped deliver this important project. The last time we were before you was our project was here in the commission in November of 2019, when you gave us authority to move forward with this project at funding levels of $278 million. Associated with that, we had a project completion date of December 1st, 2023. And if you take nothing else from the rest of our presentation, I'm happy to report we are still on time and on budget, given all of the hurdles and challenges. And so that's where our industry partners have done some amazing things with innovation and some creative problem solving to help us keep on track with that. This project is one of the most significant corridors as far as traffic volumes and improvement and investment in the entire state. So there's a number of challenges that our project's looking to solve and is in the process of solving. So with our project, we will be improving the congestion. We will be modernizing this corridor. This corridor was originally designed and constructed in the early 60s. And as the pavement and bridges are in need of replacement and upgrade, we're modernizing this. We're bringing it up to interstate standards today. And we're also introducing new features such as a focus to pedestrian and transit users that are associated with those that live, work, and play along this community. So we're in the process of building a bunch of pedestrian facilities, and we're working with Bi-State. We'll have the first ever bus-only lane on a Modot facility. So we have some interesting innovations to help all users, just not those that drive vehicles. Important with this project, when we started the environmental process over a decade ago, one of the important aspects was the community outreach and the engagement with the locals to make sure that the solution fit and that we had everything, honed in with what the final solution was going to be. And once you gave us the permission and the authority to move forward with our funding levels and our project, we really stepped up our efforts with this outreach and engagement. And we made sure that everybody was aware of the decision-making and the upcoming closures and all aspects of the project. COVID threw in a wrench and a challenge, but we were able to overcome that and cooperate through that. So the community's really taken ownership of this project, and it's been fantastic. When we had major closures, the community still bought in and saying this is a great project, and we're very encouraged for the final result that's going to come from this. One prime example is this upcoming Sunday. We're going to a community fall festival located right in the middle of the project. We'll speak with over 1,500 residents and citizens that work, play, and live right in the project. So we'll be engaging with them on Sunday and excited to hear some of their feedback. One of the more robust solutions that we've had to try to help encourage people to stay up to date with all the project changes, and there have been many, is our project website and our social media platforms. So here we are able to educate, the individuals and the businesses that reside along this corridor. And also there's a number of schools. And Ms. Martin's going to kind of explain some of our efforts that we've done with the schools and help outreach and grow our transportation workforce for future generations. But here's a virtual detour that individuals can go view or see before they leave the house or before they go to work, and can kind of see the upcoming impacts and how they can get around the corridor with the upcoming closures. An important aspect for this project was our disadvantaged business enterprise and our workforce. So on every single project, MoDOT will set individual DBE goal. For this project, it was 18% construction, 22% professional services. What that accounted for was over $45 million of the work being performed on our project is being done by DBE and our smaller contractors. And to a Millstone Weber's credit, they're selecting DBE firms and really working with them to grow their capacity. So everybody's eager for the increased state and federal funds, but our contracting partners are trying to identify these smaller businesses and these DBEs to grow their capacity as well as their own. And then our workforce goals, these are the federally set goals. They're 14.7% minority, 6.9% females. And these are the workers on site every day. And we track that for every project. And for this project, we're currently tracking at 22.3% minority and 18.1% female. So our project's doing very well in these important avenues. And these are goals that we post every month to our website. So we try to increase that transparency and say, this is really important to everybody. It's important to us at MoDOT. And we're going to post these monthly to show what we're tracking at. Another important aspect is we have over 600,000 hours worked on the project, and we have 0 lost time. So it's been a great effort. We'll talk through some of the safety challenges in our next slide, but having this as a primary focus, having high safety and high quality has been at the forefront of our project leadership. And then we have 10 OJTs, on the job trainees. And these are individuals that start at apprentice level. And then at the end of the 4-year project, they're gaining that experience. So they're ready to go, help run the next project out in the field or in the design firms. So we'd more than invite you to come out and get a tour of the project if you're interested, but we'll do a quick virtual tour for you here today. This is on I-270 at our Lindbergh Interchange. So if you've been to the St. Louis Lambert Airport, our big airport here in St. Louis, this is about a half a mile north of the airport. So this is a very heavily traveled interchange. And with all of our project final decisions, we took a data-driven approach. So we did a lot of traffic modeling and a lot of advanced safety analysis to say, are these solutions going to work right when we get done next December? And are they going to work 20 years from now? And we made sure that the significant money being invested is the right solution. So this Lindbergh Interchange is about 95% complete. We're just putting the finishing touches on it. And this is kind of one of the first elements that were complete for our major interchanges. Our outer road system and our ramp configuration. Our outer road system, this is a picture of Dunn Road, or what would be our north outer road. Throughout the corridor, we converted our 2-way outer road system to 1-way outer roads. This wasn't the most popular decision, but we did a lot of outreach with the community leading up to the project. And then once we started the project, to explain that this was the correct solution and inform them that this is going to greatly improve the safety and the traffic flow throughout the region because this is being converted to 1-way. So that outreach really allowed us to move forward with that being the right solution. And then every single entrance or exit ramp is being relocated to a more optimal location. So as we make these changes, that engagement has been critical for our project success. And then a lot of our bridges are at the end of their useful life. In the background of this picture, you can see our overpasses. We're kind of complete with all of those bridges, and they're open to traffic now. They're new. They've got pedestrian facilities. They're wider, taller, longer bridges. And then the forefront is where we're maintaining our traffic flow, where we have the 140,000 vehicles that travel through this corridor daily. We're maintaining that while we rebuild these bridges that literally have, no more than a year left before we would have to do something major. So keeping all those solutions in mind was important for our team. And then the last part of our project's kind of the eastern limits of the project, eastern termini, and that's going to be the 367 interchange. And so this would be the route that if you head south on this, it'd take us to kind of where we are now. And if we took this route going north, it would take us into Illinois. So this will be where we'll do a primary of our focus this winter with moving some dirt and building some bridges. A day in the life of 270, some quick fun facts for you. Our schedule is 1.5 million in work. If we have good weather like we have and continue, so we're hoping for no snow as well for the remainder of the year, we'll be closer to probably $2 million per week of work that's being completed on the project. I was telling Ed earlier, we're working 24/7, 6 days a week, take off Sunday to relax and let the crews get a little sleep and some of the contractor staff. We have over 100 workers on site daily. That's not project managers or MoDOT staff. That's the men and women actually rebuilding the North County corridor. We have a number of lane impacts. We're setting about 5 lane drops every day. Those are just daily lane drops that we're setting to do the work. And then we're removing that at the end of the day for our peak travel times. And then once per week, we're on average opening something, closing something, or having a major detour. So how we communicate that to schools, to bi-state, to the local businesses has been paramount for our success. And then we have 50 companies working on this project to ensure success. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tom Kuhn, and he'll give a few words from his perspective. And I would just say without their partnership and them coming to the table and delivering on what they committed to, we wouldn't be nearly successful. So I'll turn it over to Tom and Vivian.
Welcome, Tom.
Thank you for having us today. This has been a welcome addition to the industry. This type of project allows stability and a level of just general comfort that has not been around for 30 years. Okay. And it's great to be able to work. As much as we all love the next bridge repair, it's just kind of nice not to have to be chasing it. Every lane widening you can chase for month in, month out. But overall, we can stand up here and say how great it's going, but it's going great because of the 150 people who show up every day out there, 225 days a year through all of it. And because of folks like those sitting over there, project manager Brandy Brockling, who runs the overall show, and project manager Jason Hiley, who runs the traffic operation, they make it happen. And there are certain little inconveniences, like the fact that none of us, when we did our risk matrix bingo card in 2019, saw a pandemic. And in so doing, apparently everyone since the pandemic has determined they have to get everywhere way faster than they were before. We do, I think, Jason, it's the Hazelwood Police, and it does regular speed enforcement. In the last one they did, they don't stop anybody going less than 75 in a 50. And in a 4-hour period, they stopped 80 people, gave 80 tickets, and regularly had people going faster than 100. So we got 150 people out there every day putting up with the St. Louis weather and people going by at 105 miles an hour. And as I recall, the last one was during a bridge demo. So the highway was down to 2 lanes. So people were going 105 miles an hour, 2 lanes, restricted. So we can't thank those folks enough. I guess I'm supposed to be running this thing. I don't know how it works, but we'll figure it out.
I don't need to read it for you, y'all can read it. Yeah, the safety of workers next to traffic is by far the number one challenge and the number one stress upon all of us. If anything makes us not sleep at night, that's it. And now we have asphalt crews out there in the evening too, which makes it that much worse. But we'll get there. It's, as I said, the level of stability and the level of just sort of understanding where your next day's work is coming from is kind of nice. But out of all of that came Project Pave. You guys said to do it. I said, well, what the heck? We'll give it a whirl. We're not exactly in the education business, but we're going to give it a try. And I think we started with 7 North County schools, and Vivian, correct me if I'm wrong, and she will. We are now in Maplewood, Richmond Heights, and expanding into the city of St. Louis next year. So Vivian?
Project Pave, our STEM initiative for the Highway 270 project is my absolute passion. We started, as Tom said, with the North County high schools, and we've expanded it now into the city. We're going into our 3rd cohort of Project Pave students. If you are concerned about the pipeline being filled with quality people in transportation and highway, then don't worry about it. If this group is any indication, you're going to be in great shape. We have graduated 12 seniors from the high schools that we've worked with. And I'm really proud of the successes that we've had with them, because of the 6 that graduated last year, 3 went to college and 3 went to work in construction. This year, we had 4 that have gone on to college and 2 that are employed full-time. One of them is employed full-time with Millstone Weber. And we are working with both of those young people that are working to supplement their night and online education so they can also get their degrees and their certificates that they need. We've had a really great response from the young ladies in the school systems. Alondra Gomez is a graduate from this cohort, this past cohort 2. And Alondra could do just about anything she wanted, but Alondra wants to be a laborer. And Alondra interned with us this summer, and she was out on the highway when it was steaming hot and when it was raining, and she was in love with it. We offered her an opportunity to come to work with Millstone Weber, and she decided that she was going to go on to Rankin to get her certificates and her degree, and she promised that she's coming back to us. The program started out as we were supposed to do 4 sessions for the entire year. We are now into 10 sessions throughout the year, from October and through July. They're exposed to everything from the trades to life skills to financial management. We have established bank accounts with several of the credit unions in the area. And the young people, when they attend, they're given a lunch allowance that goes into their bank account. And we use that system to teach them how to make money work for them instead of them working for the money. We're just really proud of the opportunities that we've been able to present to the young people. Let's see here, the bottom left picture there, that's the latest graduation class and their families. And their experiences have been just incredible. The young man I believe he's at the right, yes, over on the right side there. He's been able to meet with Governor Parson. Another of them met this year with Governor Parson. They've met with our legislators, and they've been exposed to an opportunity that they would not have had they not come through Project Pave. And so now, instead of them wondering what they're able to do and what they're qualified to do, they know what they're able to do and what they're qualified for. And they know that construction is for them, and it's not just the boots on the ground. It's from the boots on the ground all the way to the corner office, and they know that's possible for them. So I really appreciate the fact that Modot required that of our contract because this has just been one of the best opportunities I've had in my life to do what I love to do best. So thank you.
Thank you.
With that, just open it up to any questions. And I would also offer up that Sergeant Bobby Davis with the Highway Patrol is out here protecting us and participating in this commission meeting, but he's actually one of the main ones on 270 that will go pull people over. He'll coordinate with the helicopters. He'll be on his motorcycle. So, you know, if you get a chance to thank him for keeping our crew safe and the contractors' crew safe, what they do is paramount for our safety. So with that, if there's any questions for 270.
Anybody have a comment?
Mr. Chairman, you know, I was wanting to get this meeting over with so I could get home and go back to the field, but as exciting as the presentation was, Eric, I think I would watch the 270 right now.
Well, we're going to put on our work boots and go out there. So you're more than welcome to tag along if your plans allow.
But I know that we were there early and hopefully we'll get back there again sometime to look at it.
It is an exciting project, but Miss Vivian, I think that what you guys have done from being out there, I know that you're the key person in that, and all the moving of the dirt and the construction's neat, but working with those youth and the workforce development stuff that you're doing is just, that's just amazing. So thank you.
Mr. Boatwright?
Chairman, I just want to say, you know, just getting to see the project on the ground, I guess it was last year, and then getting to hear the feedback today. This is so exciting. And to echo the comments that Commissioner Ecker made, it's not hard to see when you look at the leadership of the folks on the ground making this happen, why it's been successful. But this model of getting these involved early on, getting our young children, or getting our youth excited about construction, excited about STEM, getting them engaged in this is just such a big deal and really making us better in Missouri. So kudos to this group. I really appreciate the work that you're doing. And Eric, keep leading, man. This presentation that you have is just so impressive. So thank you for your leadership.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Ed?
Well, I think it's obvious if you just look at the results so far. You know, when we put this design build project on the street, we went through the project goals, and you can kind of go down through the project goals and it's check, check, check all the way down the list. And that's a testament not only to the Modot team, but to the Millstone Weber team that proposed on this. And I know our partnership, Tom, with your organization has been rock solid for years. And we appreciate the way that you go about your business. So, but we'll finish this strong and make this an example of a award-winning project, I think.
Right. I'll just add, Tom, I saw your lineup of people with orange shirts on, all young kids. And they're great. A couple of old timers like us have people behind us doing that. You gotta be proud of them. Thanks. Thank you for your presentation. Next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Tom Blair, St. Louis District Engineer, is going to provide a presentation of the St. Louis District. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Chairman Brinkman, Commission, and Deputy Director Hassinger, for allowing me a moment to provide a brief overview of MoDOT's presence and responsibilities in the St. Louis District. So hopefully I'll keep you, Commissioner Ecker, excited to stay in St. Louis for a few moments longer. All right, before we get back to the field. The St. Louis District, MoDOT St. Louis District comprises of 4 counties and the city of St. Louis. Within that area, the state transportation system has thousands of miles of Missouri's most heavily traveled interstates and major and minor roadways. At this moment in time, those major roadways and interstates are in 85% good condition. Minor roadways are in 74% good condition. Bridges are a really big deal in the St. Louis region because we are the home of our nation's 2 largest rivers, Missouri and the Mississippi. We have 10% of Missouri's state bridges in the St. Louis region, 10%. We have 28% of Missouri's major bridges. Those are bridges over 1,000 feet long. 28% of them are in the St. Louis region. Before I leave that slide, I want to go back. I also want to highlight something we don't talk a lot about, which is all these other assets. We often talk about roads and bridges. But here in St. Louis, I have to shine a spotlight on some of our other mobility assets or specialty assets. So as you see on the slide, we have over 1,000 traffic signals, nearly 1,100 traffic signals. We have about 1/2 of all of Missouri's roadside dynamic message signs that tell the motorists things that are going on the highway. About 1/2 of them exist here in the St. Louis region. And we have getting closer every day, I feel like, to 1,000 roadside traffic cameras. Let me tell you a little bit about the Modot team. We are authorized 690 employees, authorized. We currently have, when I put this slide together, 567 Modot employees. When I spoke to the Highway Commission last year, October of last year, we had 60 more active employees on the Modot St. Louis district team. When I spoke to the Highway Commission in October 2 years ago, we had 110 more people working for Modot in St. Louis than we do today. At this moment in time, we have 20% of our positions are vacant. And I know you guys really care a lot about that. You're really working harder on that for us. So what are we doing about that? Well, we're really trying to make the team in St. Louis as healthy as we can, as strong as we can. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is we just populated our community liaison position. So Shonda White, if you hold your hand up. Shonda is our community liaison. She is focused solely on recruiting in this job market here in St. Louis and amplifying the career opportunities that exist at Modot. Not only is it all on her back, but she helps make sure that all of the Modot team is in the right place at the right job fair at the right time to connect with the right people to get them to come to work and have a career at Modot. I know also the Highway Commission cares a lot about recognition, and we do also in the St. Louis region. These are just a few pictures of recognitions that we've had. The first picture there is you, the Highway Commission, recognizing one of our employees in St. Louis, Aaron, a motor system employee who saved a life, a human's life on I-270. We also have Wesley Stephen, one of our many employees that served over 2 decades and recently retired. And last but not least in those pictures is Shirley Norris. I think all the existing commissioners have gotten to know Shirley over the years. She's been at it for 45 years. This is her 45th year of public service. We're celebrating that with her this year. Really outstanding professional civil engineer working for our Modot team. And I have many of our Modot St. Louis team members in the crowd today. So if all you would raise your hands so the commission gets a little idea who's in the crowd from the Modot St. Louis team. All right, let's talk about operations. I know everybody wants to talk about projects, but I have to talk a little bit about operations first. Modot's Transportation Management Center, located in St. Louis, operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. During nights and weekends, if you call Modot, that's who's going to answer the phone. So far this year, when we put this slide together, they'd answered the phone at Modot's TMC in St. Louis 58,000 times. That's a lot of, you try to practice it, time yourself, see if you want to answer the phone 58,000 times. That resulted in over 1,100 calls to action of our team, where we go out and patch potholes and we go out and drag stuff out of the road that's been dropped there by others. You also see on that slide the top concerns that St. Louisans have called us about in St. Louis. And then we have emergency response. As Aaron and I highlighted in the recognition, they have assisted in the St. Louis region. And some of us yesterday, as we traveled amongst the meetings and destinations, got to experience one of our emergency response operators helping with the incident scene. We've done that so far this year, over 21,000 times in the St. Louis region. Again, I don't want to go to the project yet. One more slide, a couple more slides about things other than projects. Operations. There's a lot to operating the state transportation system. There's just a lot to it. But today I want to draw your attention to litter and road debris and utility locates. Two that we don't talk about a lot, unless you're in St. Louis at least, because in St. Louis, litter and road debris is a big deal. And in St. Louis, Modot, with your support, is investing significant amounts of resources to clean the road sides and the shoulders. Significant. Let me give you a taste of what we're doing. 21,000 hours. Our Modot team members here in St. Louis, those 567 employees that I told you, 21,000 hours they have clocked in for picking up roadside litter. We also have significant investment by our volunteer adopt highway groups, and we have 17 contracts that have a combination of mowing grass and picking up litter in them. And one of those 17 contracts is dedicated, and it's the first one we've ever had in MoDOT history, that is dedicated solely to picking up litter on our interstates. That contract, again, a contract to pick up litter on the interstates in St. Louis, that's all the contract says. You got to pick it up once a month. When I take all the work our team's doing, all the work our volunteers are doing, and all the work these contractors are doing to keep our roadways clear in St. Louis, we are picking up 100 tons of trash every 2 months. 100 tons of trash. And we are still not yet meeting our expectations of our customers in the St. Louis region. Now, some might say 100 tons of trash. They had to ask me, what does that mean? As I was preparing for this. So I thought, well, what does it mean? Work with the team, figured out that 100 tons of trash every 2 months equates to 227 grand pianos. 227 grand. But then I thought, well, I don't know how many MoDOT employees or commissioners really have a grand piano, and I don't know what 227 looks like. So then I thought of some of our commissioners that are farmers. 100 tons, I equated to, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's about 167 cows every 2 months. 167 cows every 2 months. Now, also 100 tons, let's get back to the reality. If you look at that picture, you see the big yellow trash bags. How many trash bags is 100 tons every 6 months? A lot. I equated it to 10,000 trash bags. If we put it all in trash bags, which we don't, because that's not the most efficient way to pick it up, but if we put in trash bags, 10,000 trash bags every 2 months in St. Louis alone, picking up litter and roadside debris. Finally, before I leave operations, I want to shine the spotlight real quick on utility locates. We have approximately in the St. Louis region about 22,000 calls, requests for utility locates in our public transportation right-of-way that we have to respond to a year. 22,000 per year, every year. It's pretty consistent in St. Louis. That ensures that we are compliant with Missouri One Calls response requirements. That takes a significant amount of resources by our team. It's very difficult to keep people in those positions. We often have to supplement that work with our electricians that are also supposed to be working on traffic signals. All right, let me tell you about safety because we've talked about that a little bit. And I know Chairman Brinkman really cares a lot about our highway safety. These numbers that you see on here for statewide fatalities and St. Louis district fatalities are a little outdated because I put this slide together like a week ago or so. But what is relevant is the numbers are way too high. They're not close to zero. What is relevant is the alcohol-related fatalities in the St. Louis region are up 30% this year compared to last year. Alcohol-related are down 30%. That's good news. The bad news is, as the mayor said, our vulnerable users, specifically pedestrians, we've seen a significant increase in those in the St. Louis region, and our young drivers. We've seen a significant increase in fatalities in that category. And finally, on safety, it really matters a lot to the MoDOT team. I have 3 pictures right there of our big yellow trucks trying to get work done with truck-mounted attenuators on the back that were struck. That's happened to us 33 times last year. This year, it's happened to us in St. Louis 11 times. The only reason that it's been less, it feels like, is because we have less staff and we're not able to get out there as often. We're doing everything we can to get the work done safely so that we and our customers can go home safe. All right, let's get to the projects. Everybody always says, let's get to the projects. I know you guys work really hard every month to approve those awards, so I want to share with you some. At this moment in time, we have 78 projects that we are actively designing in the St. Louis region. Those equate to $526 million. If I look at the 5-year statewide transportation improvement program that you approved earlier this year, that has 241 projects that MoDOT's going to deliver over the next 5 years in St. Louis, valued at $1.8 billion over the next 5 years. I can't talk about the projects. I know everybody always wants to go to construction. Tom Kuhn, Millstone Weber, they always like to go to construction, but we got to talk about what it takes to get these projects beyond design. Right-of-way. Right-of-way is a big deal in St. Louis. We have cleared 451 parcels and 17 projects just this fiscal year alone. Why are we doing that? We're not building new roads. We're rebuilding roads, as Eric and Tom and Vivian talked about. We're rebuilding roads, and sometimes that takes some right-of-way. And we're also rebuilding sidewalks to make them compliant with American Disabilities Act. That's a lot of people, a lot of property owners, 500 or 451. We also sell excess property in St. Louis, a lot of it. You often approve that on your consent agenda. This year so far, we have received $1.6 million on selling excess property on 14 different properties that we've done. That $1.6 million goes back into the road and bridge projects. All right. Federal funds going to local agencies in St. Louis region is a really big deal. As you see on that slide, federal funds going to local agencies for local projects, 45% approximately of those funds come through the St. Louis region. And our Modot team here in St. Louis acts as federal government, and we administer those funds to make sure that they meet federal expectations. We currently have 264 projects that we are administering on local projects that are being performed by local cities and counties all across the region, valued at $612 million in the design phase. We have 70 active projects with federal dollars on local roads and bridges. All right, so our construction projects. These are the ones that you approve every month in a STIP. You heard earlier about the 270 North project, the largest project that we have active in the St. Louis region, I believe in the state of Missouri right now. We have 105 active projects this calendar year in the St. Louis region, valued at $808 million. I want to shine the spotlight on 4. Almost out of time, so I want to shine the spotlight on 4. You already heard about 270 North, so I'm going to tell you about one in southeast of here in South St. Louis County. So the big 270 loop in St. Louis, you've heard about the north part of it. This is the south part of it. When you cross the Mississippi River to go in Illinois, we share this bridge with the Illinois DOT. Interstate 255 Jefferson Barracks Bridge over the Mississippi River. That you awarded that project in December of last year, not that long ago. It's a $50 million contract. We're 35% complete. Currently, if you drive out there, all the traffic has been removed from the eastbound bridge onto the westbound bridge. Major rehabilitation is taking place. Hope to wrap that up by December of this year and then switch the traffic once the snow melts, if it snows, Ed. Hopefully it doesn't, next spring and get working on the other bridge. This project is on schedule and on budget to get done as planned at the end of 2023. I wish the mayor was still here. I wanted her to hear this part, but this is probably the most visible project that you have approved in the St. Louis city area. This is on I-64 at 22nd Street in Jefferson. So for those thinking about where is this is the interstate that runs right next to the Cardinal Stadium, the World Series winning Cardinals Stadium, Busch Stadium. And it runs next to Union Station. This is that interstate. And right next to Union Station is this project. This project removes a whole bunch of deteriorated old interstate infrastructure. It shrinks the footprint of the interstate system while at the same time increasing the accessibility from I-64 to the downtown street grid. You approved this project. You, as highway commissioners, invested highway commission cost share funds into this and partnered with the mayor and her team. She invested city funds in this project, and we invested traditional statewide transportation improvement distributed dollars that you give to the districts into this project. A significant investment, as you see at the bottom dollar, almost $30 million worth of investment. We're in the final months. We'll wrap this up by the end of the year. On your way out of St. Louis, you're going to look at this when you're driving I-64 and you're going to see that soccer stadium. You sold that land. The Highway Commission sold that land to the city. The city was able to work out the deal, and now we have the Major League Soccer Stadium. And just north of here, we have a almost completed National Geospatial Agency federal employer just north of this interchange. This is significant. I'm glad that this project's going to wrap up at the end of this year. 2 more projects, and I know Chairman Brinkman's really going to like this one. So Route 30 and Route 47 out in Franklin County, they cross over Interstate 44. What you have here, why I'm bringing this to your attention, this project's simple for us. We're just basically taking off the driving surface of these 2 bridges that go over I-44 and putting on new driving surface. But what's unique is the innovation. So in that lower picture, what you see there is you see those blue panels maybe at the distance. Those are forms. They're concrete forms. We're going to soon, after those panels were placed, we're going to soon put concrete on top of those forms. And once that cures and sets up and gets strong enough, we'll drive over it, right? That's how we build a bridge. But those blue forms are see-through. They're transparent. You can see through them like a glass window. Most concrete forms are made out of wood or out of concrete, and you can't see through them. So as you see in the top picture, if you can see that picture at all, that's one of our inspectors took that while he was inspecting the placement of the concrete for this very expensive bridge, right? We spend millions of public tax dollars on this, and he was able to identify the fact that the concrete had not been consolidated around all the reinforcing steel. So he's able to radio up on top. They went back there, they vibrated, simple thing. And now we are much more confident that we have a quality bridge that will last a long time. These are the first two projects in the state of Missouri where we have used these concrete forms. Final project I want to mention is in St. Charles County. County Executive Development's here, and North St. Louis County sort of combined. This is all about resiliency. We hear a lot about that today with all the rain and stuff like we had in Florida, hurricanes. We have had Route 67 on the way to West Alton, from Missouri into West Alton, flooded many times over my career. And every time it happens, we have to close the road to keep everyone safe, but it has regional impacts. Sometimes it floods and stays underwater for quite a while. This project is all about that resiliency. This project, we partner with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, use federal land access program funds to partner with our funds. So we ended up with $7 million, and we are raising 1 mile of Route 67 coming out of Illinois into Missouri. It's going to have a significant impact on the resiliency of that highway. And finally, with the increased investment that Missouri and our country has made in transportation, and the work that we've done with Jim Wild and the region to identify here in St. Louis high priority unfunded needs, and you can go to MoDOT's website to see all the current list of high priority unfunded needs. Our team in St. Louis is working really hard. That long list of projects that you see there and more is in the STIP that you approved earlier this summer. We are working diligently to take things off the high priority unfunded needs list with these new funds and turn them into actual improvements. There are a lot of great projects coming to the St. Louis region that are really going to make this a strong region. And thank you for the role that you play in giving us the opportunity to do that. I end with, we have a transportation management center here in St. Louis. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anyone can program that number into your phone. You can get a hold of us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Everything I talked about and more is at modot.org/St. Louis. Thank you for your time. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Any comments for Tom? Commissioner Boatright.
You know, it's always interesting to hear an update in St. Louis district because it's a complicated district and it's a lot of moving parts. And, you know, you're short staff. You have traffic issues that were mentioned earlier with just people being more risky behind the wheel. And your team's pushing through all of those challenges and continues to deliver for the region. So we really, really appreciate the work that you and your team do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Boatright. Ed, anything?
Yeah, I think the thing to really highlight is they're doing this with one hand tied behind their back. We're down literally over 100 folks and 2,000 hours a year. That's some pretty significant things that they're dealing with. And so hopefully the actions the commission took on salary is going to help that, but it's going to take a while. So this team is working hard and doing the best they can with what they got and some great results.
Great job, Tom.
All right, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Ashley Halford, Assistant to the Chief Administrative Officer of Employee Health and Wellness, is presenting an update for this important division. Boy, is that a mouthful. That's a pretty big title. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Chief Hassinger. Thank you for allowing me this time today to talk to you about the Employee Health and Wellness Unit. I know this may not be quite as flashy as a 270 project, but yes, it still serves a very critical function for our organization to make sure that we are able to operate safely and have a healthy workforce, doing all the tasks that are required each and every day for this organization. Oops, sorry. All right, just to kind of give you an idea, you may not know what health and wellness really does. And when I think about this, I break our shop up into two different segments. First, we have the Fit for Duty segment, which covers workers' compensation administration, drug and alcohol testing, and then our physicals, our pre-employment and annual physicals that are required of our workforce and the safety sensitive functions that they do. The other side of our shop is really the benefits section, and you've heard me talk to you guys over the last few years. Actually, Chief Hassinger talked to you in August about the benefits plan in my absence. But that is our medical and life insurance plan. And then the total wellness segment, those incentives that we offer to our employees to make sure that they're active and healthy as they go forward. Our staff, you know, we really work closely on a daily basis with our safety and emergency management group, as well as Rich and his staff in the Chief Counsel's office, because so much of our stuff interacts with both segments as well as human resources. We are unique in the fact that we do provide medical and life insurance as well as workers' compensation to not only Modot employees, but the Highway Patrol as well. As a self-funded plan, we provide coverage for both organizations. Just to give you a visual of our size, and I'll just say that, you know, we might be small in numbers, but we provide a great service to, and the volume that we do is significant, and I'll show that here in just a minute for you. But again, if you think about our shop split into two different categories, the employee benefits side, you'll see on the left, that is managed by Brandon Dinkler, and he has 2 benefits specialists, 3 technicians, and then 2 Anthem Liaisons, which, let me just highlight these Anthem Liaisons because it's quite impressive. They're actually 2 Modot retirees. They share 1 FTE position. The 2 of them combined have over 20 years of service with the plan, the medical plan. And if you total all their time with Modot, it's over 113 years of service to the organization. We couldn't operate without them, to be real honest with you. Shifting over to the right side of our org chart, that group is managed by Tara Meisenheimer. If you look at the workers' comp side of that thing, we have 2 risk management specialists, I have 3.5. It's really 3 technicians and 1 part-time retired employee that has come back and continues to work on work comp claims for us. And then kind of in the middle, if you look there, we've got the drug and alcohol and the physicals piece there. And that has 1 specialist, and we're getting ready to fill 1 new, that's an added FTE for us, a technician that manages all of our drug and alcohol testing and all of our physical requirements for our employees. It's pretty significant workload there. I will also just say on the fit for duty side, we have a group that is a collaborative group with safety and Chief Counsel's office and human resources, in which it's called the Fit for Duty team, the review team. So whenever we have an employee that has some sort of physical restrictions, medical restrictions, this team really applies the principles of the Americans with Disabilities Act to make sure that these employees can perform their jobs safely. And so that's pretty critical role for the organization. Let's focus first on the fit for duty side, and just want to give you an idea of the number of workers' compensation claims that we see in our shop. You'll see based on this graph, the orange reflects the Highway Patrol claims, where the blue reflects the Modot claims. You'll see Modot averages just under 600 claims a year, whereas the Highway Patrol averages just over 300 claims a year. Just kind of point out in 2020, you did see a little bit of a reduction in claims, and I will attribute that to COVID and the impacts COVID had on our workforces. Impacted each organization a little bit differently, but we did see reductions there. The most common injuries that we see for workers' compensation and I'm going to talk mostly on the Modot side of things, because we've monitored those trends a little bit more closely, but it's the slips, trips, and falls, which are generally fairly easy to treat and get people back to their original condition so they can get back out in the workforce. But we see some injuries that are more significant: TMA hits, crashes, car crashes, burns. So some of these things can be treated as simple as a few PT visits, but others may require long hospitalizations. And that's all stuff that our folks in our office manage and make sure they get the medical treatment that they need so they can get back to the workforce, hopefully. Just For your awareness, I think you know what workers' compensation is, but our adjusters in our office, they really focus on, making appointments, getting medical records. They work with doctors' offices. They work with attorneys because we need attorneys to resolve a claim and get it finalized through the Division of Workers' Compensation. So it's a pretty highly responsible position that they hold to make sure that folks are treated fairly and get the treatment they need and get resolution to those injuries. All right, we'll continue on the fit for duty side, but I want to shift over to the drug and alcohol testing because this is a pretty critical function of our department. All of our CDL holders in our department are subject to various drug and alcohol testing. This is mandated by the Federal Motor Carriers Act. So we do testing for pre-employment, post-accidents, if it fits the criteria within our policies, random testing, reasonable suspicion, and return to work testing. You will see there is a bit of a downward trend. The blue bar graph reflects the number of tests we've done in the last 5 years, whereas the orange reflects the number of positive tests we've seen. You see, we do have a decline. I don't know that we're going to see that continue to decline for the calendar year 2022, but it is nice to see a decline there for a couple of years at least. I would just want to point out when it comes to drug and alcohol testing, as I mentioned earlier, we are mandated by the Federal Motor Carriers Act, and in 2020, they did increase the required random tests that we do for our drivers. It went from 25% of our population to 50%. So every year we're randomly testing 50% of our CDL holders. And that's for drugs. And then alcohol is at 10%. It's a little bit difference there. Also new in 2020 is a new mandate by the Federal Motor Carrier Act was this nationwide clearinghouse. So every CDL holder, if they have a positive or an admission or a refusal of a drug test, it gets reported to this national-wide clearinghouse so that it's important that all employers search this database before employment, as well as an annual query to make sure that someone hasn't had an infraction against their driving record in that past year. This is just another way for us to ensure the safety of our employees and those that we are working in front of. All right, let's shift gears over to the medical plan. And then this is probably where you're more familiar with our operations because I think you just heard a presentation in August from us. But just to give you a few highlights about the medical plan. As you recall, we are a self-funded medical plan. I say that with a preface that just in August, we approved for the Medicare Advantage plan for our Medicare population. That's going to go to a fully funded plan. So for our active and pre-65 retirees, we're going to continue to be self-insured. We do cover over 27,000 lives in our plan that it covers our Modot Highway Patrol active employees and their dependents and retirees. 63% of that 2,700 is active employees. 19% of that is pre-65 retirees. So if you retire at 53, work your way, you're in that kind of limbo land clear up until you hit Medicare eligibility. And then the other 19% is our Medicare population, which will be going to that Medicare Advantage plan next year. Also want to highlight, just for your reference, and you can see that, the volume of claims and the dollar amount of claims that we've got there and how that's broken down in medical and pharmacy. Just for your awareness, that 35 million in pharmacy claims, that is really, that calculation is doubled in the last 6-7 years. The nature of pharmacy claims it's skyrocketing, and we're seeing it nationwide as well as in our population as well. And as a reminder, 2023 is going to be our 6th consecutive year with no rate increases for our active employees. And as we're talking about, we're down in workforce and we're trying to recruit. And I think this number right here and this statement speaks volumes. I've been out talking to the Highway Patrol and their troop meetings this fall. I talked to other employees, MoDOT employees. Very few employers can offer a benefit that has not changed in the last 6 years. So we're very proud of your support toward that initiative and the behaviors and the practices that we've had with our own population. And as a reminder, we've got Anthem and MedImpact. So Anthem is our medical provider, MedImpact is our PBM for our pharmacy provider. I wanted to throw this slide up here just for your awareness and refresher. These are some of the tools and health and wellness tools that we have for our populations. That Life Health Online is really that's your doctor online, so you can see a visit with your doctor, psychologist, psychiatrist, at the convenience of your home. We really promoted that during the pandemic so that we could keep people out of the urgent cares and ERs. It's a great benefit, and it's available across the country. Sydney is the Anthem branded logo app that is where you get all your resources. You find a doctor, you look at your claims, you have your ID cards. That's the one-stop shop for Anthem there. Walker Tracker it's a pretty cool tool that we use to keep our employees active and engaged. We're actually in the middle of a team challenge now where we set out certain parameters over a 6 or 8 week time frame. You monitor your steps or your activities, and they're tabulated in that app. This team challenge that we have is actually, it's like I said, it's a team challenge. So each district competes against each district, and each troop competes against each troop. There is some bragging rights and a traveling trophy at play here. So we really kind of promote that and increase a little bit of competition amongst the districts and the troops. That probably highlights a lot of the things that I wanted to talk about there. I would be remiss if I didn't really discuss what we did during the pandemic. I know we all want to get past the pandemic, but we were critically involved in the day-to-day operations of that. Modot did serve as a pilot agency for the statewide Sentinel testing program, which was a voluntary randomly selection of state employees to be tested on a monthly basis. We led the way in that for all state agencies across Missouri, which then evolved into many more testing avenues that we had for our population during the pandemic, the height of it. You'll see we tested over 11,000 employees throughout the pandemic, which I want to thank our safety and health managers out in the districts because they helped. We couldn't do this by ourselves. So folks like Joe Moore and his team, they were out there swabbing noses and making sure that we had a safe and healthy workforce doing our daily operations that were required of us. And then the vaccine efforts. We led the way, really. We teamed up. I worked with Chris Engelbrecht and his safety team over there. And we worked with SEMA's DMAT team. And we traveled the state and provided mass vaccine events for state employees. And you'll see here on your slide that we totally vaccinated. So when I say we did 5,300 state employees, keep in mind, most of those required 2 injections. So that's not a total number of shots, but we traveled all segments of the state and got a good chunk of our state employees vaccinated during the pandemic. We really led the way, and we were out there, probably before some of our healthcare providers were providing these mass vaccine events. So we're proud of those efforts and really served a great cause for us during that time of need. And lastly, I just want to show you the team that puts it all together and makes it happen. And they're a real well-oiled machine and couldn't do it without them. We might be small in nature, but we pack a powerful punch and get a lot of work done for the good of not only MoDOT, but also the Highway Patrol. And with that, I'll ask if you have any questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Not a question, but just a comment. Ashley, thank you for your thorough report today. And this is an important part of MoDOT as well as benefits that we offer to our employees. I know it's a big job, but we appreciate it. And you do a great job.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Kudos. I remember 2 years ago, I couldn't believe what you do. And now I see you only got 13 people.
We're going to add another one, so it'll be 14.
But 6 years without an increase, that is remarkable. Yeah. What happened in 2020 to the Highway Patrol? They jumped up 200 people. They went from 300 to 533.
And which slide was it? And workers' comp claims. So if you
workers' comp,
yeah, workers' comp. So the governor signed an executive order saying that all emergency workers, anytime they were tested positive, it was an automatic coverage under workers' comp benefits for their law enforcement officers. Yeah.
Ed, do you have anything?
Well, I just think Ashley and her team do a fabulous job, but I think between Ashley and her team and the district counterparts, our people really depend on these folks to kind of guide them, because healthcare and wellness is a kind of a complicated animal to tackle. So our field people, our folks on the ground really depend on these folks to make sure they're getting what they need in their healthcare decisions. So that's pretty important. Having trusted people to do that is really important.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ashley. That was wonderful. Next item is a public comment period. Members of the public who did not schedule a presentation before the commission may speak to the commission on transportation-related issues by having signed in at the registration desk. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person, 10 minutes per topic. We have a guest speaker, Executive Steve Elman. You get 5 or 10. What do you think, 2 minutes for him?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Chief Engineer, it's great to be here. And I think I'm going to set a record for St. Charles County executives today. This is my third meeting in a row that I'm not going to beg for more money or complain about anything. Okay? I'm here, and I'm sure the mayor welcomed you to St. Louis, and it's a gateway to the west. And I've been telling people for years the problem, we're the gateway to the west, but if you want to go west from St. Louis on I-70, you got to squeeze under a railroad bridge on 2 lanes of traffic that hasn't been improved since the year I was born. And I'm here to thank you once again for funding that project. And of course, it's in this funding for this fiscal year. And it couldn't come at a better time. Last month, they had a groundbreaking in Warren County, just right over the St. Charles County line, for a facility that's going to employ 6,000 people. And you already know that Wentzville is probably the fastest, well, definitely the fastest growing community in the region, probably in the state. So I just want to thank you again for having seen that and funded this project. And I've got an idea. You know, we got those people sitting in traffic there every day. Beginning in January, I'm going to see if we can, at the county, if we can get a billboard. And on the billboard, it's going to say, be patient, relief is on the way in June. Call the Highway Commission or text the Highway Commission office and tell them thank you.
That's a good idea, Steve.
Could just give
And
Brinkman's cell phone number up there.
No, I wouldn't do that. No cell phones. We'll keep it, we'll let your people at the office deal with them. And I guarantee you, this is a very, very popular project, especially in the western part of St. Charles County. And we really do appreciate your help and assistance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Madam Secretary, would you memorialize his third time without asking for money?
Make sure that's in
Put
the
that
minutes.
meeting minutes, yes. We have one additional item. We have John Briscoe has left the commission, and he was our vice chair, and we need to elect a new one. And now is the time to do that. So I will entertain any nominations and motions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Smith for vice chairman.
Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to second that nomination.
Okay, hearing none, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you.
So typically, at the end of each meeting, we like to provide each commissioner member the opportunity to share any concerns or comments they may have. Today, I'll start with Commissioner Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Tom and everybody from the St. Louis District Office for um, making us feel welcome and everything you did to make this a successful event. And thanks to Pam and her staff for once again, I don't know how you do it, getting all this stuff coordinated. So it's been a great meeting. I want to congratulate Dave Alvers on his retirement. I hate that he's not here because known Dave for a long time, and it's great that 37 years, right? So congratulations to him. Also want to thank the staff, Pam and everybody, for getting the recognition dinner or luncheon put together for Commissioner Briscoe that's retired, and that was great. And then I've had an opportunity this past month to do several things. I want to thank Pam and Eric for coordinating a ride for me in the ARAN vehicle, and for Joe and Shane for taking me around. That was a blast. Worked out that it was close to my area, and it was just interesting to ride along and see how that machine functions. And then also had the opportunity to attend the maintenance meeting in Columbia last week, and that was a great meeting. Lots of good folks. And then I know a few people are jealous of me for two reasons. I got a MoDOT maintenance hat, thanks to Natalie, and I got a tour of the Roachport Bridge project, which is just amazing what they're doing out there. Those 12 feet I-beams are just phenomenal. So I hope the rest of the commission will get to go out there sometime, because that is an amazing project. And then I want to thank Brenda and Todd for doing such a great job. 14 years of excellence in financial reporting. That's just fantastic. So thank you for what you do. And then all the presentation days were great. And I want to end by thanking Bob for hosting us for dinner last night. That was fantastic. And buckle up and phone down on your way home. Thanks.
Next, I'll ask Commissioner Erdman, so I don't forget you. Are you on there?
I'm on. Given my situation, I will defer to the November meeting.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you.
Oh, Vice Chairman, I meant to.
Make me go last. Most directors hit on this. The first thing I was going to talk about, Tom Blair, thank you. Thank you for the ride yesterday evening. I really appreciate that. Pam, Jen, I know my short time on the commission, this has probably been one of the toughest ones to put together. All of our work. Great project, that 270 project. I don't know if Eric's still here.
The team's over here.
The team's over here, yeah. They're doing a great job. I was able to go to there, when were we there? A year ago, maybe. It's good to hear that don't have any car dealers crashing. That's good. Anyway, I have plenty of rights before you started, but anyway, Steve, always good to see you. We knew we had to get that project done, so you weren't going to give up until we did. I've heard about that for years, but anyway, that's great. Actually, good report. 6 years, no increase, and believe me, I hear that all the time from these guys. They really appreciate it. It's not having to raise their insurance. It's great. It's still up every year. So anyway, Mr. Chairman, thank you for last night.
Yeah.
Thank you for your friendship.
Yep.
And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Treese.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me just echo previous comments. It's great to be in St. Louis. I always appreciate the effort that Pam and her staff takes, because I think it's important for us to learn the regional priorities. And County Executive Steve Ellman, I appreciate your presence here today, and as well as the Mayor of St. Louis. And it's particularly informative to me how transportation drives development, particularly in urban areas, and to see their local priority needs here helps us do our job better. And I'm excited to see what can be accomplished when, again, federal, state, and local leaders work together to make investments in our transportation system as well as our future. Excited about the innovation. Tom, appreciate you sharing the comment about the clear concrete forms and how that's the first use of them in Missouri. And I look forward to hearing more about lessons learned with the 270 project and how we do that all across the I-70 corridor there. And then to our friends and industry partners at Millstone Weber for your workforce development and STEM initiatives. Great work, and I'm so excited that Modot can incentivize that and be the recipients of the dividends of those future great employees for either our department or the industry as we continue to make these generational investments, literally in generations of students and kids into the future. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bowder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the numbers that I wrote down here in Tom Blair's presentation earlier was the $1.8 billion going to the St. Louis region in 23 to 27. We take a step back to the 2016, 2020 step, and that's more than the entire state was receiving at that time. So it's incredible. I did want to touch on a couple of things that happened this month. Getting to be the ribbon cutting of the 67 project in the Southeast District. There are examples of this throughout the state. The Steve here, the work that he's done in St. Charles, Commissioner Treese, the work that he put in for the Roachbrook Bridge and funding that he put up for that project. And we've got this great opportunity where we have this increase in not only the Modot, but you also have these opportunities that are within the communities to where you can really pull together, put resources together and push priorities to push the region, push the state to a better place. And it's really heartwarming and exciting to see the energy from throughout the state of getting work done and not only using the resources that we have at hand, the gas tax, but also using the resources within the local communities to push initiatives forward. It's really exciting. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I just want to add, I've mentioned it before, I watched the original pavement go down up there 58 years ago. And if you look what happened to that corridor, because I grew up on that corridor, the communities grew up around it, but they were never connected. And what we're able to do with this money is kind of stitch that all together, getting ladies with their buggies and babies going across the highway and not having to get on the highway with oncoming traffic. That was scary. And I'll share with you something that told me what you're doing is like changing the engine in a car while the car is running. And congratulations. Thank you. That's all I have. Before I adjourn, I want to note our next meeting is scheduled November 2nd, 2022. We'll be in Cape Girardeau next month. And do we have a motion or a second to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Moved second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone, for coming.
Good job, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Good job, Bob. Moved right along.
Hey, we're done.